Hello. So my name is Omar Rampersad. It's 3:28 p.m., May 12th, 2020. So I am taking my blood pressure reading right now. So I'm just, move my hand. Wasn't supposed to do that. So it's 112/73. So I should take it one time without moving my hand. So I'll do that. So that's the cuffs inflating. So today I thought, okay, so let me just take out a tiny magnet I have in my ear because my ear is hurting and it was pulsed all night last night. And magnets around the ear eases the pain. It also shields from the signals that causes the pain. So sometimes I just put a tiny magnet that will not get into the ear. It's big enough so it wouldn't go in. So 105/70 and 78 is the pulse. So I usually do it 3 times and take the average. So let me do it one more time. So as I was saying, we're going to do some of the signals as well. And let me just add one more factor. So right now it's 73.5. So it's 3:31. And my computer is, time is a little bit off, 2 minutes. So the computer is saying 3:30. Anyway, let's go by this time. So it's 3:32 and it's 33.5 right now. So I'm going to just slip this in here. Just as part of the experiment. It's 107/64. So the lower number is a little bit low. So we had 112/73, 105/70, 107/64, heart rate 80, 78, and 80. So my blood pressure is all over the place. 112/73, 105/70, and 107/64. It's all over the place. So I'm also going to erase the data on this. I'm going to erase the data. And I'm going to document the signals. I'm going to put this right next to me, right 3 inches away from my body. So it is right here. That's me. And that's the detector. Okay, so that's me. Now I realized that the thermometer is going to take my skin temperature and not the temperature around the body. Okay, so today I'm going to read an article, and as I said yesterday, I'm going to concentrate on how a Wi-Fi signals affects the body. So I just Googled Wi-Fi signals effects on the body. And Excuse me. And that's the nose being pulsed. Distraction comes in different forms. So let me just get Kleenex. So this is the reason why I had magnets around my ear. And this is why the blood pressure is all over the place. The hand is tagged. So yesterday I talked about grounding. Was it yesterday? It may have been another day. So this is a grounding material that I had at the back of my chair. So when I'm using the computer, since it has to be in touch with your skin, I just use it and I wrap it around my hand or just place my hand on it, the hand that I'm not using. So 85.6. So there's a lot of electricity on the surface of the table on my hand. So let me just take my temperature and I was just scan. That's a scan right there. Scan, see the electrical currents, the red light. That's a scan. So I'm curious to see 86.4, what the temperature difference is, and there you have it. Okay, so I'm going to leave this detector right in front of me, and I'm going to start reading. But before I do that, I'm going to take my temperature. Oops. It has to be pointed to the SIM, which is by putting my sleeve back. $37. 36.9. 36.8. 36.7 goes down. So let's try the other side, but first I have to take this off. I can't maneuver my hand. With the cuffs on. So let me just take the blood pressure. $36.6. $36.7. $36.6. So went down. So that's a starting point. So I'm just going to continue reading, or start reading this article. So this is on livescience.com website. And it's amazing how many pop-ups. there are on these screens. Just amazing. Just slows it right down. So the title is Wi-Fi Allergies. Is electromagnetic hypersensitivity real? And I forgot to take my water. The mouth is really drying up here. So I'm just going to read this. For some time now, people with unexplained and recurring headaches, so 86.9. For some time now, people with unexplained and recurring headaches, dizziness, and skin irritation has been blaming their often severe discomfort on sensitivity to electromagnetic field sources. The condition, sometimes called electromagnetic hypersensitivity, EHS, according to the World Health Organization. In a recent case, the family of a 15-year-old girl in the United Kingdom who died by suicide said the girl had suffered from an allergy to Wi-Fi signals. The signals at her school made her nauseated, gave her blinding headaches, and made it difficult for her to concentrate. So speaking of headaches, I get a lot of headaches as well. And this is a necklace. And I took it off my neck because I was getting rashes, and you could see the scars there. It was red and blotchy and very angry looking blotches. So I took it off my neck, and I had this headband, and that was covered with another covering. And it was coming off, the covering was coming off. So I stripped it off, and it was metal underneath. So because the headband is made, the necklace, excuse me, was made out of copper and magnets. See the magnets there? This is pure 100% copper. Those are small neodymium magnets. So I put it on this headband, and I put it on my head. And I would get blinding headaches as well. And almost immediately, they stop. Now, if the headaches get really, really bad and I am being pounded on the head, especially while I sleep, I bought some additional magnets. These are very tiny ones, much like these ones that's here, just a little bit bigger. I paid $10 on Amazon for about, I think they came 250. And so I put some additional ones on the inside. See those lined up? So you can alter the strength that you need depending on how bad your headache is by just putting some additional magnets on. So I think I demonstrated this, just if you just put it on like so, like a headset, like so. And it will cause increased blood flow. I mean, you're gonna have to, short hair is good. My hair is have a mind of its own. There's a curl in my hair, and there are some people who started calling me black names because there's a curl in my hair. Um, there's a lot of people in India who has very thick, um, curly, very, very curly, tightly curled hair. And it's not from being black, but I guess it depends on which part of India you're from and which bloodline you're from. So my hair, when it gets a certain length, it has a natural curl to it. But no, it's not. The curl is not coming from any black heritage. Just to make that clear, because I get called all kinds of funny names. 87.3. So back to the magnets. So if you don't want to get bald, and it looks pretty good too. Now, not a whole lot of people is going to spend the money that I spent on the necklace. The necklace was fairly expensive. Only because I wanted it to look good because it was on my neck. So I spent, I think it cost close to 70 Canadian dollars, which is, roughly 500, say, PT dollars. So it's fairly expensive. So anyway, so from my research, the circulation of the blood on the head is increased, and so one of the reasons why you get pulsed so viciously if you're a target is to get you bald, basically. So your hair turns white, which mine did, and which took a long time because I was shielding. If I wasn't shielding, it would happen very, very quickly. And you will lose your hair eventually because it will kill out the roots of the hair, basically. So my experience of being bombarded with these signals proves that what the official line that's being held by certain groups that is advising the government, my experience is completely the opposite of what they're saying. So signals penetrate your body, penetrates your skin, kills cells, because if it can kill the roots of your hair, the cells in the roots of the hair that produces the pigment, it will kill other things as well. So to say that that millimeter waves do not present any harm, that do not cause any harm to us, lasting harm, is very false. It's misrepresentation. Okay, so let me just go back to my article and start reading here. So right, so I was reading about the 15-year-old. So the signals at her school made her nauseated. So the reason I had the magnet in my ear was because when the signals penetrate the ear canal, it affects your balance, number one, and it makes you nauseous, which is related to your balance. I'm not going to go into details. Do your own research. Giving her blinding headaches and made it difficult for her to concentrate. Well, yeah, if you have headaches, you wouldn't be able to concentrate. So the teen's mother said in the UK court on November 19th, according to a news story about the case in the UK magazine, The Daily Mirror. Participants in a survey of people claiming to be suffering from EHS described physical symptoms such as headache and fatigue, that appeared whenever they were close to devices that emit electromagnetic signals, such as Wi-Fi stations, cell phones, and computer screens. Removing or insulating themselves from the signals elevated their symptoms, according to the survey findings. However, and here is the however, scientifically controlled tests in which people were exposed to electromagnetic signals but were not told when the signals were turned on or off overwhelmingly showed that study participants were unable to determine when the signals were present, according to and my screen just went black on me. And it came back. Let's see how long it stays on. Unbelievable. Okay, so however, scientifically controlled tests just rereading this. However, scientifically controlled tests in which people were exposed to electromagnetic signals but were not told when the signals were turned on or off overwhelmingly showed that study participants were unable to determine when the signals were present, according to the 2009 review of 46 such studies published in the journal Bioelectromagnetics. Now, first of all, to take these findings and believe them would be something that you'd have to do with a grain of salt, because first you'd have to research who is funding them, who, which party the journal is representing, who is behind the journal, basically, is what I'm trying to say. And how the study was done. Who are the people that was chosen? Who are the subjects that was chosen? Which part of society were they representing? Was it a good sample in the statistical study? And my screen is frozen. Yeah. Okay. So bear with me for a second while I try to get to the point where I want to read. Okay, so testing reactions. In Rubin's 2009 paper, he looked at studies analyzing symptoms and investigating triggers in more than 1,000 people who reported having electromagnetic sensitivity. He concluded in the paper that repeated experiments have been unable to replicate this phenomena under controlled conditions. It may be that Wi-Fi isn't a culprit, but that something else is to blame for the people's symptoms, Rubin said. A number of health and environmental conditions, such different for each individual, could be responsible. Another factor at play could be the nocebo effect, in which persons believe that exposure to EMF triggered symptoms actually causes the real symptoms to appear, even if no exposure has occurred. Regardless of whether Wi-Fi allergies are real, the suffering certainly is, Rubin said. So that's the cover. So Okay, my screen came back. So that was the end of the article. Disappeared again. Okay. So here's a comment. Magda Havas showed the effects of the radiation on red blood cells, the clumping effect, the rouleau effect, and the decrease in the ability of the red cells to carry oxygen. So here in this article, it's quoting the study that says it could be all in your head. However, this effect that that Magda Havas talked about could be clearly seen. This is not something in the person's head, obviously. It could be seen as a direct result of being around Wi-Fi signals. So, so this is a paragraph in the middle. So I read the top and the bottom of the article. So let me just read the middle here. Determining disability. In some cases, people who report having EHS say the symptoms are debilitating and impact their lives dramatically. The parents of one 12-year-old boy recently filed a lawsuit in Massachusetts against his private school, claiming that a new industrial capacity Wi-Fi system at the school led to the child's health problems. Courthousenews.com reported. The boy suffered from headaches, itchy skin, and rashes, and eventually nosebleeds, dizziness, and heart palpitations, the suit said. The symptoms, which doctors could not diagnose, arose only during school hours. School officials rejected the conclusion that his ailments stemmed from Wi-Fi exposure, and an evaluation of the Wi-Fi system found that the levels were well within safety parameters established by the Federal Communications Commission. But the boy's parents asserted that his symptoms were representative of EHS and qualified as a disability, and as such that the school should be required to take action to accommodate him. In another case in France, a disability settlement was awarded to a woman who claimed that her EHS was so severe that she had to live without electricity in a renovated barn in the mountains to protect herself from electromagnetic signals. But while the court ruled that her symptoms qualified as disabling, it did not formally recognize EHS as a medical condition. But there is a direct relationship between the signals and blood problems, and heating problems, and differences in brain activity. So there are specific physical signs that can be pointed to, that can be referred to, that shows that there is effects. And it's not in our head. And yet here we are, have people, professionals who are saying, no, it's all in our heads. So something is not right. So because these people are scientists, right? And here we have scientific proof that there is an effect. There is a relationship between exposure to the signals and physical effects, like clumping of the red blood cells. That's scientific proof that that's true. And yet the same people are turning around and saying, no, it's all in your head. Or the same group of people, not specifically the same people. Right? So something is not right. So let me check my temperature. 88. So where did we start? And my mouth is so dry I could hardly talk. It's just completely dry. So, which is why I mispronounce my words so much, and my lips are actually being hit. On an on and off system. On and off. It's off right now. It's on right now. On and off. So you can see the signals. Take the temperature. 37.2. The last one was 36.6, 37.3, 37.2. So 36.6 to 37.3. And I've been talking now for half an hour. $37.2. $37.2. So I just should mention one thing about the magnets on the head. I've noticed from personal experience that magnets actually have a tranquilizing effect when placed on the head. So the more magnets you put on the head, the more retarded you become, basically. So let me just qualify the word retarded. It does slow your the pace of your thinking down, and I think it has something to do with how the magnetic field affects the transmission of the electrical currents in your brain. Because there is such a thing as pulse magnetic therapy for different kinds of quote unquote mental illnesses. So I find that when I have magnets on my head and I go to bed, I sleep better. That's because there is a tranquilizing effect. So if you want to be nice and sharp, don't use strong magnets on your head. It may make you fall asleep. And don't use them when you're driving. You could use them as a painkiller. And if you want to use them as protective gear, you can maybe put them in a hat or some whatever headgear that you use, and have some space between the scalp of the head and the magnets. So those are my I'm speaking from my experience. But it does definitely take away the pain, because I'm not into taking drugs of any kind if I can help it, including painkillers. I take it when I absolutely have to, but normally my choice is not to take it. So anything else I'd like to talk about today? I think I'll stop there. I'll post a link to that article. I guess that the point of that article, and I obviously gave both sides. It tried to give both sides. I think it came down to right down the middle, saying that while the courts identified and recognized that, or the claimants identified the symptoms, and the court recognized the symptoms as disabilities, it did not specifically relate the disabilities or the symptoms that it's calling disabilities to the Wi-Fi. So I'll let you, I definitely have an opinion on it, but I'm going to stay quiet. I'll let you decide, because courts can be manipulated, as we well know. People who are in the courts can be manipulated. So if by an industry, if money passes hands, people in the courts can be manipulated. And definitely studies can be manipulated. Research can be manipulated. Research actually, in a lot of ways, can be called scams to depending on who's doing it, to provide support to do criminal acts. So really, we shouldn't be taking at face value when people make quotations and refer to these studies to back up their claims, because you have to delve deeper and get into the nitty-gritty of things to find out where it's coming from, who's doing it, who's backing it, who's funding it, what's the slant of the person who's doing it or the group that's doing it. And this is going to give you the overall picture of where the study is coming from and where it's aimed at, and what they're hoping to gain by the outcome. In other words, it has to be independent, and it's very hard to find independent studies. So let me just take my blood pressure, because I am curious. I'm curious to see what the blood pressure is after 38 minutes. (113/80). So not high. And I'm not in pain. So maybe the magnets on the head is actually working. Well, it is working. Just being a little bit sarcastic there. It does work. Magnets really do take away the pain, but again, you have to use it carefully. Definitely don't use it around your head again when you're driving. So I'll stop there.